War-Eye drove out here for silence, but the moment her eyes met mine, the silence shattered. My heart thudded, hard and unfamiliar. I'm Claire, a marketing exec back in the city, always in control, always hiding the cracks from failed relationships that left me wary of anything real. Rain hammered the windshield as I pulled up to the cabin, my wipers fighting a losing battle. I'd come for a weekend alone, just to breathe without the city's constant grind pressing on my chest. A quick stop for coffee, that's all I needed before heading to my own rented spot deeper in the woods. But the storm had other plans. The cabin door creaked open before I could knock. There she stood, framed by the dim light inside, her gaze steady and unyielding like she'd been expecting me all along. Calloused hands gripped the edge of the door, and something in her eyes pulled at me, raw, unguarded. The warmth spilling out from behind her felt too inviting, too dangerous for someone like me. I stepped inside anyway, the air thick with unspoken tension. "Coffee?" she asked, her voice low. I nodded, already regretting how my pulse quickened. The drive had been hell from the start. I'd left the city that morning, radio off, mind replaying the last breakup like a bad loop. Sarah had called me distant, said I built walls too high. Maybe she was right. I'd nodded, packed my bags, and hit the road for this remote stretch of forest, telling myself it was just a reset. No entanglements, no risks. Thunder rolled as the gravel path narrowed, trees closing in like old friends I didn't want to see. My tires slipped once, twice, but I pushed on. That's when the cabin came into view, low and weathered, wood darkened by years of rain and wind. A thin trail of smoke curled from the chimney, the only sign of life in this isolation. It looked sturdy, lived in, the kind of place that held secrets in its beams. I killed the engine, grabbed my jacket, and dashed through the downpour. My shoes squelched on the porch. I knocked, hard, water dripping from my hair. The door opened fast, and there she was again. Mara, though I didn't know her name yet. Her hands were rough, marked by work, steady as she held the door wide. Her eyes met mine, dark and direct, no pretense. "Come in," she said simply, stepping aside. "You're soaked." I hesitated in the threshold, rain pooling at my feet. The offer was polite, nothing more. Shelter from the storm, that's all. But her gaze lingered, seeing through the wet chill to something I kept buried. I nodded and crossed into the warmth. Inside, the air wrapped around me like a blanket I hadn't asked for. The smell of fresh coffee hit first, rich and grounding, mixed with the faint tang of wood smoke. A fire crackled in the stone hearth, flames dancing low, casting shadows on the rough-hewn walls. The cabin was sparse, a worn rug, a couple of chairs by the fire, shelves lined with jars of preserves and well-thumbed books. No clutter, no distractions. Just quiet competence. She closed the door behind me, the latch clicking soft. "I'm Mara," she said, wiping her hands on her flannel shirt. It hung loose over jeans faded from use, her frame solid, built from solitude and labor. "You look like you could use something hot." I murmured thanks, peeling off my jacket, hanging it on a hook by the door. My heart still raced, not from the cold. I wasn't here to linger, grab coffee, get directions maybe, and go. That's what I told myself as I stood there, dripping, feeling exposed under her steady watch. She moved to the stove, pouring steaming liquid into a chipped mug. The steam rose, carrying that deep, comforting scent. "Sit," she said, nodding to the chair by the fire. Her voice had a rural lilt, unhurried. I sat, the heat seeping into my damp clothes. The fire popped, embers glowing. Mara handed me the mug, our fingers brushing for a second. Hers warm and calloused, mine cold and smooth from desk work. I pulled back quick, sipping to hide it. The coffee was strong, black, cutting through the chill. We sat in the quiet at first. She settled across from me, legs stretched out, watching the flames. I glanced around, taking in the details. The way the light caught the dust motes, the faint scent of pine from her clothes. This place felt real, lived, unlike my polished apartment back home. "You're not from around here," she said finally. Not a question. I shook my head, focusing on the mug. "Just passing through, weekend trip, needed to clear my head." She nodded, like she understood without pushing. but her eyes held mine a beat too long, and I felt that pull again, the warmth inside clashing with the walls I'd built. I didn't want to stay longer than needed. Work emails waited on my phone, the city pulling me back. Yet the storm raged outside, wind rattling the windows. Another sip, the fire crackled on. Conversation started slow, about the weather, the road ahead, but her presence filled the space, steady and unforced. I found myself relaxing just a fraction, as the rain drummed on. Mara poured herself a mug next, the liquid steaming as it filled the chipped ceramic. She settled back into her chair, the firelight catching the lines on her face, fine creases from sun and wind, not the kind from stress. "I've been out here 3 years now," she said, her voice even, like sharing facts from a well-worn book. "Left the city after my partner walked out. Needed space to fix fences, literal and otherwise. This place keeps me grounded." I nodded, staring into the flames. Her story hung there, simple, without the layers I always added to mine. No details on the hurt, just the move forward. It made my own escapes feel contrived, planned escapes from boardrooms and deadlines. She sipped her coffee, eyes on me. "And you? What's pulling you through this storm?" I deflected, tracing the mug's rim. "Just the road, slippery out there. Thunder's getting worse." Safe topics. Weather, terrain, anything but the knot in my chest from the drive. The echo of Sarah's voice calling me closed off. The silence settled then, comfortable on the surface, but charged underneath. The fire popped, sending a spark upward. Rain lashed the windows harder, a steady roar that muffled the world. Mara shifted, reaching for a poker to stir the logs. As she handed it back to the stand, our hands brushed. Hers rough, mine soft. The contact lingered a second too long, warmth spreading up my arm. I pulled away, heart thudding quiet. She noticed, her gaze sharpened, not prying, but seeing. "You seem tense, like the city's still riding with you. What are you escaping out here?" I froze, the question cutting close. Her empathy wrapped around it, soft but insistent, like the heat from the hearth. No judgment, just a quiet pull to answer. I set the mug down, the ceramic warm against the wood table. Work, mostly. Marketing firm. Endless meetings. Targets I chase like they're air. Needed a weekend to clear my head. No emails. No expectations. Partial truth. The stress was real. Late nights, scripting pitches, pretending I had it all together while inside I unraveled. But it was more. The emptiness after Sarah, the way I'd locked away anything that felt too deep. Here, in this cabin, Mara's steadiness contrasted it all. She didn't perform authenticity. She lived it. Flannel sleeves rolled up, revealing forearms marked by honest labor. No facade, no careful words. It drew me in, against my better sense. She leaned forward, elbows on knees. "Sounds heavy. Out here, things slow down. You learn to sit with the quiet." Her eyes held mine, dark and steady, reflecting the fire's glow. I felt exposed, my controlled life cracking under that look. Back home, I curated every interaction, smiles for clients, distance from anyone who got close. Mara offered no such barriers, just presence. The pull built, subtle at first. Her laugh lines deepened as she added wood to the fire, the scent of pine sharpening. I watched her move, efficient, unhurried. My facade felt thin, the city polish out of place amid the grit. Why did her simplicity unsettle me? It mirrored what I craved but feared. Raw connection, no scripts. Thunder cracked outside, shaking the walls. Rain sheeted down, turning the path to mud. Mara glanced at the window, brow furrowing. "Road's flooding by now. You should wait it out. Storm like this won't quit till morning." I hesitated, the offer hanging. Stay. The word echoed inside, clashing with my plan to drive on. Keep moving. But the warmth here, her gaze, held me. The air thickened, tension shifting from polite to something deeper. I nodded. Slow. "Maybe you're right." She smiled, faint but real, and rose to check the latch. The fire crackled on, the silence between us full now, promising more than coffee. The conversation shifted as the fire settled into a steady glow. Mara stared into the flames, her mug forgotten on the table. "This place wasn't always just mine," she said, voice dropping low. "Had a partner once. We built this life out here, thought it was solid. But she left 2 years back, said the isolation was too much, that I was pulling away even when I wasn't. Now it's just me and the quiet. Teaches you things, being alone like this." Her words landed heavy, raw edges showing in the way her fingers tightened on the chair arm. I listened, the crackle of the fire the only interruption. Her isolation mirrored something deep in me, the way I'd pushed Sarah away, convinced myself closeness was a trap. Back in the city, I filled days with noise to drown the loneliness. But here, Mara's truth peeled it bare. I felt it echo in my chest, a hidden ache I'd buried under schedules and smiles. She turned to me then, eyes steady. "Your turn. What's really got you out here, Claire?" I shifted on the chair, the worn fabric rough under my palms. The room felt smaller now, the air warmer. We'd moved to the couch sometime during the talk, a deep, sagging thing by the hearth, cushions molded from years of use. Mara sat close, her knee inches from mine, the heat from her body cutting through the chill that lingered in my bones. I could smell the faint earth on her clothes, mixed with the wood smoke. "Just work stress," I started, but it came out weak. Her gaze held mine, direct and unblinking, pulling more. My pulse quickened, a thud against my ribs like warning drums. No one looked at me like that back home. Clients skimmed surfaces, friends kept distance. Mara's eyes saw deeper, stirring the loneliness I'd ignored, the kind that settled in after lights out when the apartment felt too empty. She nodded, slow, like she heard the unsaid parts. "Sounds like more than stress. The way you hold yourself, tense, like you're waiting for the next hit." The fire popped, sending shadows dancing across her face. I swallowed, the words building despite myself. "Maybe. Last relationship ended bad. She said I was too guarded, that I never let her in. I guess I am. City life's a grind. Deadlines, expectations. Makes you build walls to survive." Mara leaned in a fraction, her presence filling the space between us. Our knees brushed then, accidental but electric, the denim of her jeans rough against my damp pants. I didn't pull away. The contact grounded me, even as my heart slammed harder. Fear twisted inside. Vulnerability scared me, the risk of letting someone close only to lose them again. But here, with her, comfort crept in, warm and unfamiliar. Her authenticity chipped at my facade, making the walls feel thin, unnecessary. "You don't have to carry it alone," she said softly, reaching for a wool blanket draped over the couch arm. The fabric was thick, smelling of lavender and sun-dried air. She draped it over my shoulders, her fingers grazing my collarbone as she adjusted it. The touch lingered, calluses rough yet gentle, sending a shiver down my spine that had nothing to do with the cold. Warmth spread from her hand, seeping into the chill I'd carried all day. I froze under that gaze, debate raging silent. Pull back, keep control. That's what I'd always done. Drive on when the road cleared, return to the safe rhythm of emails and solitude. But the growing comfort pulled harder, her empathy wrapping around the fear like the blanket. What if I stayed, let the walls crack just a little? The thought terrified me, yet thrilled in equal measure. Mara's eyes never wavered, offering space without demand. Outside, the storm howled on, wind rattling the panes. Twilight deepened, the light fading to gray through the windows. Mara glanced out, then back to me. Night's falling fast. Paths flooded by now, mudslide risk in this weather. You should stay. Couch is yours or there's a spare room. No pressure. Her suggestion hung there, simple but loaded. The flooded path meant no easy escape. The night sealing us in. My internal clash peaked, fear screaming to leave at dawn, comfort whispering to linger. But as her hand brushed mine again, withdrawing slow, I felt the shift. The tension turned personal, intimate, the air heavy with what might come next. The words spilled out before I could stop them, the fire's warmth loosening the knots I'd tied so tight. Sarah left me a year ago, said I was too afraid to commit, that I'd always choose work over us. She packed her things one night, quiet as the door clicking shut. I didn't fight it. Part of me knew she was right. Commitment scares me. It's like handing someone the map to all your weak spots, trusting they won't use it against you. My voice cracked on the last word, the admission hanging raw in the air. I'd never said it aloud like that, not even to friends back home. The city made it easy to bury. Nights out, projects that blurred into dawn. But here, with Mara watching, the truth felt exposed, like shedding a layer of skin. She nodded, gentle, no rush to fill the silence. Her eyes softened, reflecting the flames. I get that fear, she said, voice low and steady. Lost my family young. Parents gone in a car wreck when I was 16. Bounced around relatives who didn't know what to do with a grieving kit. Learned early to hold on tight, then lost that too when my aunt passed. Scars like that. They make you question if anyone's worth the risk, but they don't have to define you. Her words landed soft, but they carried weight, the kind forged in isolation. I saw it in the way her shoulders tensed, the faint lines etching her brow. No dramatics, just truth shared like passing a tool across a workbench. It mirrored my own scars, the abandonment that left me doubting every pull toward closeness. Sarah's leaving echoed that old loss, a cycle I couldn't break alone. The firelight danced across our faces then, shadows playing over her cheekbones, warming the cool tones of the room. The air grew heavy with honesty, thick as the scent of burning pine. No room for pretense. Our knees still, brushed on the couch. The contact, a quiet anchor. I felt seen, not judged, her empathy bridging the gap like a hand extended over a chasm. Then it happened. Her hand reached for mine, fingers clasping, brief but firm. Calluses rough against my palm, warmth spreading up my arm, thawing the chill I'd carried since the drive. It was simple, that touch. No demand, just connection. My breath caught, pulse thudding steady. In that moment, the walls I'd built felt fragile, unnecessary against her steadiness. I pulled back slow, but the warmth lingered, seeping deeper. City life. It feels empty sometimes, I admitted, the turning point hitting like a quiet wave. All the noise, the rush, it's a distraction. I chase promotions, fill calendars, but nothing sticks. I'm out here seeking something real, a connection that doesn't come with strings or escape routes, but I'm terrified of finding it. Mara's gaze held mine, unflinching. The fire popped, embers glowing brighter. That's the hardest part, facing the want. But real doesn't mean perfect. It means showing up, scars and all. She paused, the silence full between us. Stay through the night, Claire, no pressure, just rest. The storm will pass, and you can decide, come morning. Her invitation settled soft, no edges. The spare room, the couch, options without chains. But it was more than shelter. It was space to breathe, to let the honesty sink in. My mind raced. Dawn meant return to the safe, the controlled. Yet her presence pulled, the empathy weaving through my fear. I nodded, words catching. Okay, I'll stay. The agreement shifted something inside, tension easing from emotional rawness to a physical hum. The air felt charged now, bodies closer in the dim light, the night's quiet wrapping around us like an unspoken promise. Evening deepened as the fire burned low, shadows lengthening across the cabin floor. Mara stood, stretching her arms, the flannel pulling tight over her shoulders. You must be hungry, she said, her voice pulling me from the haze. I have stew on the stove. Nothing fancy, but it warms the bones. I nodded, the scent of simmering vegetables and herbs already drifting from the kitchen corner. She ladled it into bowls, thick chunks of potato and carrots swimming in broth, steam rising like a quiet invitation. We ate at the small table, spoons clinking soft against ceramic. The storm outside had eased to a steady patter, the world muffled beyond the walls. Conversation flowed easier now, laughter slipping in unbidden. She told a story about a fox that raided her chickens last spring, her eyes crinkling at the edges. Chased it off with a broom, yelling like a fool. Felt alive, though, raw and real. I laughed too, the sound surprising me, light in my chest. It eased the guarded walls I'd carried, brick by brick. For the first time that night, I shared a bit of my city chaos, a botched client pitch that left me red-faced in a boardroom. Her chuckle rumbled low, genuine without the pity I'd braced for her. The meal stretched, bowls emptying slow, the fire's glow painting us in amber. As we cleared the table, our hands brushed again, deliberate this time. Mara paused, her fingers lingering on mine. The air hummed, charged with the day's confessions. She turned to me, close now, her breath warm against my cheek. A strand of my hair had fallen loose, damp from the earlier rain. She reached up, brushing it back with her knuckles, the calluses grazing my skin like a whisper. Rough yet tender, that touch sent a shiver down my neck, pooling heat in my core. My breath caught, eyes locking on hers, dark, searching, full of the same pull I felt. The moment stretched. I didn't step back. Neither did she. Her hand cupped my jaw then, thumb tracing my cheekbone. Time slowed. The cabin's quiet, amplifying every shift. The creak of the floor, the faint crackle of dying embers. Our lips met, tentative at first, a brush of softness, testing. Mine parted slightly, tasting the salt of stew and the earthiness of her. She pulled back a fraction, eyes questioning, but I leaned in, surrendering to the urge. The kiss deepened, urgent now, mutual in its hunger. Her arms wrapped around my waist, pulling me flush against her, the flannel soft under my palms as I gripped her shoulders. Heat built between us, breaths mingling hot and ragged, my fingers tangled in her hair, short and thick, pulling her closer. She responded with a low sound, her hands sliding under my shirt, calluses mapping the curve of my back. The world narrowed to this, her taste, her strength pressing into me, walls crumbling in the firelight. We moved then, unspoken, toward the bedroom door at the far end of the cabin. Her hand in mine guided me, steady through the dim hall. The room was simple, a wide bed with quilts piled high, moonlight filtering through a small window. She closed the door soft, the latch clicking like a seal. Clothes shed slowly, layer by layer. My shirt first, cool air hitting my skin before her warmth replaced it. She unbuttoned her flannel, revealing the undershirt clinging to her frame, muscles shifting under fabric worn thin. Jeans followed, pooling at our feet, until skin met skin, mine smooth from city softness, hers marked by sun and labor, freckles dusting her shoulders like stars. We sank onto the bed, quilts bunching under us. Her body covered mine, weight grounding, breaths sinking in the quiet cabin. Each inhale matched hers, out in unison, the rhythm pulling me deeper. Her lips trailed my neck, slow and deliberate, teeth grazing just enough to spark fire low in my belly. I arched into her, hands exploring the dip of her waist, the strength in her thighs. Sensations flooded, her hair tickling my collarbone, the faint scent of pine and sweat, the way her pulse thudded against my chest like an echo of my own. The storm outside was forgotten. Here, it was just us, bodies entwining, heat building in waves. Inside, I let go. Control slipped away, the guarded exec dissolving into this woman who craved the raw. No scripts, no escape plans, just the moment, her touch erasing the fear I'd clung to. Surrender washed over me, sweet and terrifying, as pleasure crested, shared in gasps and quiet cries. We moved together, unhurried yet fierce, until exhaustion claimed us, tangled in quilts and each other. Post-intimacy, quiet settled, breaths evening out in the dark, her arm draped over my waist, heavy and real. Dawn crept in slow through the window, gray light filtering across the floor. Doubts stirred then, whispers in my mind. What now? With the city waiting, its demands pulling like chains. Morning light filtered through the thin curtains, pale and insistent, pulling me from sleep. I woke tangled in the quilts, Mara's arm still heavy across my waist, her breath steady against my shoulder, The cabin smelled of last night's fire, faint smoke clinging to the sheets. My body ached in the best way, marked by her touch, but my mind raced. What had I done? One night, one surrender, and now the risk stared back. Vulnerability laid bare, no walls to hide behind. The city's pull tugged at me, emails and deadlines waiting like old habits. I shifted, careful not to wake her, questions churning. Was this just escape, or something that could break me again? Mara stirred, her eyes opening slow, dark and clear in the dawn. She sensed it, the tension in my frame. "Morning," she whispered, voice rough from sleep, hand tracing lazy circles on my hip. "You okay?" I met her gaze, the honesty in it piercing. Doubts flooded. Sarah's leaving the way I'd locked myself away after. Last night felt real, but daylight brought fear, sharp as the chill seeping from the floorboards. "I don't know," I admitted, voice small. Us, it scares me. What if it's too much? I came here to reset, not unravel." She propped on an elbow, hair tousled, freckles stark in the light. Her fingers brushed my cheek, calluses gentle. "Fear's part of it, Claire. But authenticity isn't about no risks. It's choosing them anyway. Last night wasn't a mistake. It was you showing up. Don't let the old hurts steal that." Her words wrapped around me, whispers cutting through the fog. She pulled me closer, lips grazing my temple. The reassurance settled soft, like silt in a riverbed, grounding the whirl. Her empathy shone. No pressure, just truth. I leaned into her, the warmth of her skin against mine easing the knot in my chest. For a moment, the cabin held us, quiet except for the distant drip of rain from the eaves. Then my phone buzzed on the nightstand, insistent, shattering the peace. I reached for it, screen lighting up with notifications. Work emails, piling, a client's urgent query, reminders of meetings I'd skipped. The city demanded return, its rhythm clashing with this stillness. I silenced it, but the conflict rose, hot and familiar. Back there, life was safe. Controlled hours, no entanglements. Here with Mara, everything felt exposed. The stakes high. Stay and face the unknown. Leave and retreat to emptiness. She watched, brow furrowing slight. "The world calling you back?" I set the phone down, turning to her. The bed creaked as I sat up, quilts pooling around my waist. Yeah, deadlines, expectations. If I don't go, it'll all pile up. But going means leaving this. Leaving you, and I'm not sure I can. Deep talk unfolded then, words spilling in the morning light. We sat facing each other, knees touching under the covers. "It's a choice," she said, voice steady. "Self-rediscovery or the safe return. Out here, I learned that running from fear just builds bigger walls. You let go last night. Why stop now? Healing isn't linear, but it's worth the mess." I nodded, her words mirroring my turmoil. The city offered structure, but it smothered. The endless chase leaving me hollow. Here, rediscovery beckoned, raw and terrifying. "I've hidden so long," I said, fingers twisting the sheet, afraid of committing, of losing myself. But with you, I feel seen, like I could choose authenticity, build something real. Yet, the fear, it's loud. Mara took my hand, thumb stroking my knuckles. "Then choose anyway. Stay longer. We heal together. No rush, just presence." Her eyes held mine, vulnerable yet strong, the offer hanging like morning mist. Courage surged then, a quiet fire in my chest. I squeezed her hand, voice firm despite the tremor. "I want that. To stay, face this with you. Heal the parts I've ignored. Surrender to what's real." The words freed something, light breaking through the doubt. No more safe returns. I'd choose the path with her, walls crumbling for good. She smiled, faint and true, pulling me into an embrace. Our arms tightened, bodies pressing close, hearts thudding in unison, mine fast, hers steady, sinking like breaths in the night. The physical anchor held me, her strength bolstering mine, warmth spreading deep. In that hold, fear receded, replaced by resolve. Decision made, we rose slow, the storm outside clearing to drips and birdsong. Sun broke through clouds, light spilling across the floor. A new path emerged, uncertain, but ours, leading beyond the cabin's walls. Days blurred after that morning, the cabin becoming a quiet anchor. I texted work a vague extension. Family emergency, needed time. They bought it or didn't push. Mara didn't question. She just nodded, handing me a mug of coffee with cream she'd churned herself. The extended stay settled easy, our routines blending like the steam rising from the pot. Mornings started slow, her hand finding mine across the table, intimacy weaving into the ordinary. Walls I'd built crumbled, piece by piece, as her steady presence chipped away the guarded edges. I found courage in her, the kind that grew from watching her move through the day. Mara rose with the sun, her flannel sleeves rolled, heading out to tend the small plot behind the cabin. I'd follow, coffee in hand, the air crisp with dew. Her authenticity grounded me. No performances, just action. "Join me," she'd say, handing over a hoe, her calluses brushing mine. The earth yielded under our tools, soil dark and rich, fingers caked in grit by noon. It mirrored the rediscovery inside me, digging past the city polish to something raw, alive. Shared activities built trust, layer by layer. Afternoons, we'd chop wood for the hearth. The axe felt heavy in my hands at first. Unfamiliar weight. Mara showed me the swing. Shoulders back, follow through clean. Wood split with a satisfying crack, chips flying like sparks. Sweat beaded on her brow, her laugh low when I missed and the blade stuck. "Again," she'd urge, her hand steadying my grip. The rhythm synced us. Bodies close in the clearing. The scent of fresh pine sharp. Trust grew in those moments, her patience eroding my doubt. No rush, just presence. The thud of the axe echoing my heartbeat. Walks by the river came next, the path winding through ferns and moss-covered rocks. Water rushed over silt beds, cold and clear, carving the banks smooth. Mara led, her boots crunching gravel, pausing to point out a heron's nest high in the branches. We'd sit on a fallen log, feet dangling near the flow. Silence, comfortable between us. "This is healing," she'd say, her voice blending with the current, letting the past wash by. I leaned into her shoulder, the fabric of her shirt warm against my cheek. Vulnerability crept in then, soft as the mist rising from the water. I'd share fragments, Sarah's final words, the way abandonment echoed my parents' distance. Mara listened, her arm around me. No fixes, just hold. Emotional payoff hit during one such walk, the sun dipping low, painting the river gold. Pain from the past surged, unbidden, the fear that had kept me closed, choosing solitude over risk. "I confronted it all last night," I said, voice steady despite the tremor. "The walls weren't protection, they were prisons. With you, I choose vulnerability. No more hiding." Tears pricked, but Mara wiped them with her thumb, rough and gentle. Authenticity won, fear receding like the tide. Her eyes met mine, dark with understanding. "That's the surrender," she whispered. "To us." Future glimpses unfolded in quiet talks by the fire those evenings. We'd plan, tentative at first, me splitting time between city and cabin, her visiting the noise if needed. "Blend our lives," she'd say, tracing patterns on my palm. "Your world, my quiet. Make it ours." The thought thrilled, authenticity trumping the old fears. No grand promises, just steps. A trip to the market together, her hand in mine unhidden. Healing closed in on quiet nights, bodies entwined under quilts, breaths sinking slow. Her skin against mine, warm and real, affirmed the mutual surrender. No words needed. The hold said enough. Reflection came as stars wheeled overhead, the cabin creaking soft in the wind. This path, born from coffee and storm, led to wholeness, courage forged in grit, healing in her arms. But the city loomed still, its pull testing what we'd built, shadows of doubt stirring once more. The city's pull started as a whisper, then grew to a roar. A week in, my phone lit up constant, Emails from the firm, urgent and clipped. Where are you, Elena? Projects stalling without your input. Voicemails followed, my boss's tone sharpening. Commitments I'd left, hanging now clawed back, demanding return. Mara noticed the shift, the way I'd glance at the screen, thumb hovering before silencing it again. They're testing you, she said one evening as we sat by the fire, her hand on my knee. Seeing if you'll bend. I nodded, but the pressure built, heavy as the wood smoke curling up the chimney. The cabin felt smaller, the isolation that once soothed now trapping. Back home, life waited. Deadlines, colleagues, the apartment with its sterile lines. Safe, predictable. Staying meant upending it all, choosing the unknown with her. Fear resurfaced, old and sharp, whispering that vulnerability led only to loss. What if this bliss shattered like Sarah's promises? The calls piled, each buzz a reminder of the world I'd paused. Crisis hit on a crisp morning, sun slicing through the pines. I'd been chopping wood, axe thudding uneven, sweat stinging my eyes. Mara approached, her boots crunching gravel, face set. You can't ignore them forever, she said, voice low but edged. They're your life. If you stay, what then? Resent me when the city's ghosts pull harder? Her words struck deep, fears igniting. I dropped the axe, grip slick. Maybe they're right. It's real, but the real world doesn't stop. I built that career, that safety, leaving it for what? A cabin and dreams that might fade? My voice rose, raw. I'm scared, Mara. Scared you'll see the mess I am and walk away. Like she did. She stepped closer, eyes flashing. Then go. Run back to your walls. But don't pretend it's safety. It's hiding. The argument cracked open, words tumbling. My doubts about commitment, her scars from abandonment. The air thickened. Charged like before a storm, our breaths quick. I turned away, heart slamming, the river's rush mocking in the distance. Fears resurfaced full, a tide pulling me under. Authenticity over fear? It felt impossible now, the safe life calling like a lifeline. But in the quiet after, as she walked to the river alone, clarity surged. I couldn't go back, not to the empty chase, the guarded days. Rediscovery meant choosing her, courage over retreat. I followed the path, silt crunching underfoot, finding her by the bank, stones skipping across the water. I reject it, I said, voice steady despite the thud in my chest. The safe life. It's not living. I stay. With you. She turned, surprise softening her gaze. The climax hung there, my choice slicing through the doubt. No more half measures, healing through courage, full surrender to this love we'd forged. Resolution came. In raw honesty, her hand reaching for mine. I was scared too, she admitted, fingers lacing tight, calluses grounding. Thought you'd bolt at the first pull. We sat on the log, knees touching, the river's flow washing tension away. Touch followed, her palm on my cheek, thumb tracing my jaw. I leaned in, lips meeting hers, soft at first, then deep, urgent. The kiss sealed it, bodies pressing close, heat building in the open air. Her arms wrapped me, strength affirming the choice, fears dissolving in her warmth. Transformation settled as we walked back, hands linked. I'd healed the fractures, chosen authenticity, self rediscovered in her steady eyes. Surrender wasn't loss, it was freedom, love's full embrace, mending what fear had broken. That night, the last intimate moment unfolded in bed, quilts tangled around us. Moonlight spilled through the window, her body arching under mine, breaths sinking in the quiet. Skin slid slick, her nails grazing my back, pleasure cresting in waves. The bed became symbol, chosen home, walls of wood holding our shared world. Her whispers against my neck. This is us, echoed the journey, courage binding us deeper. We faded into the ongoing path, days stretching ahead, blended lives, storms weathered together. The cabin, once escape, now anchor, inviting whatever came next. I lay in Mara's arms that final night, the cabin's wooden walls cradling us like an old promise kept. Her breath warmed my neck, steady as the river outside, our bodies entwined under quilts heavy with shared heat. This place, once a fleeting stop, had become our new beginning, grit and authenticity weaving us whole. Healing bloomed in that embrace, courage and surrender, mending the fractures I'd carried too long. Fear lost its grip. Vulnerability felt like home. If this pull of unexpected love resonates, subscribe for more Sapphic stories that bare the heart. Share your surrender moments below. What risk did you take for something real?